Hi, I'm Bird, and you're watching Better Bird Homes and Gardens. Today, I'll be taking you on a tour of my favorite place in Gielinor, my own home. This stunning single-bedroom townhouse located in downtown Prifddinas features 8 gardens, 3 gilded altar rooms, an intricate dungeon, and of course all the amenities you could ever need directly at your fingertips. Altogether, these 34 rooms are valued at over 100 million GP in material costs alone, but to me, it's priceless. Come on in and I'll show you around. Upon entering the house, whether by fairy ring, spirit tree, or from the street, you're welcomed warmly into the central courtyard, and only steps away from either of 2 ornately decorated rejuvenation pools. These peaceful gardens have been thoughtfully decorated to bring you into touch with nature despite being fully enclosed within the house. Exiting the courtyard on the eastern side brings you into the more practical areas of the house. To the northeast, we find our first altar, devoted to Guthix, who reminds us to find balance in all things. To the extreme east, you'll find the costume room, which is located for quick access to the many useful items stored within. Venturing southeast of the courtyard brings you into the main body of the home. The portal nexus not only gives you direct access to many of Gielinor's cities, but also acts as a throughway to the kitchen and achievement gallery. We'll come back to the gallery shortly, but first I'd like to show you into the kitchen for a pint of Greenman's Ale, or perhaps a spot of tea if you'd prefer. While the kettle boils, I like to gaze out the window onto the first set of outer gardens on the property. With their wrought iron fencing and thorny rose bushes, these gardens feel much more traditionally Eastern in their styling, as opposed to the central courtyard's fixtures, which draw heavy inspiration from the Western lands. One of the more recent additions to the home can also be found here in the first of 2 beehives. Having these pollinators around helps me to keep my gardens in full bloom year-round. You're also likely to notice one of several entrances or exits to the home's underground areas is located here. I assure you we will be taking a look down there in due course. Back in the main body of the house, we find ourselves moving from the kitchen into the workshop. No home is complete without one, and mine features all of the necessities minus one. The central workbench, which serves no practical use, has been intentionally left out to improve the flow of traffic through the room. Opposite the kitchen, to the west of the workshop, and tucked neatly into the corner, is the sole bedroom in the home. This room is mainly utilized as a space to store a little bit of cash, but also features a working fireplace, a luxurious bed, and a wardrobe and dresser equipped with the latest styles from Varrock. The set of gardens to the west features many of the same design choices as its sister garden to the east, including a second beehive. The notable differences in these gardens are the fountains, which help me to draw local wildlife in. Birdwatching is of course one of my favorite hobbies, so it only felt appropriate to include a bird bath just off of the bedroom. As we circle back around to the north, we enter the study, and centrally the aforementioned achievement gallery. These 2 rooms are full of interest. On the walls you'll find charts detailing my ventures in treasure hunting and questing. I also keep a detailed log of the numerous creatures I've slain, among other counters, in this massive journal. Other fixtures in these rooms include staples like the occult altar and the jewelry box. And what gallery would be complete without a display of one of my favorite boss encounters, the alchemical hydra? Crossing back through the courtyard, we come to the social rooms. In the games room, guests are encouraged to compete in tests of ranged accuracy, melee strength, or just a fun game of fairy hide and seek. The garden to the north serves as another entry, or more accurately, an escape from the dungeon below. Around the corner is the outdoor menagerie, which houses a multitude of cats, several fish bowls, and a handful of other pets who enjoy free roam of the vast property. South of the menagerie is the PvP arena. Its proximity to the courtyard means it's easier than ever to jump back into the fray should you meet an untimely demise. The more masochistic among you will appreciate the nearby cactus, which, when touched, inflicts a small amount of damage. I'll let you figure out why that's useful on your own. Next, we enter one of my favorite rooms in the house, the parlor. I love this room for one reason only. There's just something really comforting about a rocking chair. And finally, the last room on the surface is the throne room. The crystal thrones, though far from comfortable, seemed the most appropriate for the house's location in Prifddinas. The throne room floor gives way to what is likely the most exciting aspect of my home, the dungeon. Those unfortunate enough to find themselves down here will be met with flames and claws. The luckier among you may get past my puppy and into the cult of Bob, who will bless you with a quick route back to the party. Those less fortunate will be forced to run a gauntlet of baby red dragons, traps, flame pits, and tentacles before facing a most fearsome foe, the Rune Dragon. If you manage to escape the dungeon through this route, the Cult of the Gnome Child will bless you before allowing you back onto the main floor through the Eastern Gardens. And with that, you've seen every room in the house. Before concluding, I'd like to spend a little bit of time now to talk about some of the overarching design elements of the home. Firstly, I'd like to draw your attention to the instance map. It was important to me that the building be centered within the instance map, as well as have some degree of symmetry, without being perfectly symmetrical. I also wanted the shape of the space to reflect its nature. It was really difficult to design a layout that is both practical in how the home is navigated and utilized, while still meeting my stylistic goals for it. I went through several different iterations before landing on this as my final design. Another of my goals when decorating the space was to have a cohesive aesthetic choice throughout. I could easily have built all of the most expensive fixtures and decoration pieces, but most of them would just feel out of place within the context of the rest of the home. A lot of thought went into the placement of the various duplicate rooms as well. For example, the ornate gardens in the central courtyard might have easily swapped sides, but the color coordination from the otherworldly garden with the ornate combat dummy and the fairy's home in the adjacent rooms made the fairy ring the obvious choice for the western side. It was also important to me that where I did feature duplicate rooms, they had enough variation between them to feel like distinctly separate spaces with their own uses, even if that use exists purely within my own headcanon, as is such with my bird bath. The astute among you may also have noticed that each chapel features a different instrument, and even the beehives have slightly differing models from each other. Everything, even down to the choice in topiary hedges, was done with intent. It's worth mentioning as well that the house isn't quite complete. In the future, I'd like to replace my old pump and drain with a proper golden sink. The strength cape in the achievement gallery is also a placeholder for a future achievement diary cape. Lastly, the League's trophy hall, which I failed to mention in the body of the video, exists solely as a space for these three pedestals. I don't have any Leagues trophies, and I'm not much into Leagues, but I have something rather silly planned for them in the future. If you want to know more about why they are here, you'll just have to hit the subscribe button so that you can see for yourself when they eventually become relevant. Before concluding the video, I want to say a sincere thank you for watching. Building the house of my dreams on my Snowflake UIM has been an immense undertaking and a labor of love. Seeing everyone's excitement and support for making this video has been really inspirational to me. I hope that in seeing my home, you're inspired to get creative with yours as well. There's really no reason not to after Jagex's recent update that makes POH load times consistent regardless of house size. Thanks again for watching. I love you all. See you next time!